Hey guys, welcome back to Remove Before Race, and today we get to look at the brand new E-Class facelift, and we're looking at the E53 Sedan. Now this is a car that we originally found in its pre-facelift version to be more Mercedes than it was AMG. But AMG have infused even more of their DNA into this car for this facelift. So today we're going to explore every juicy detail of this, the brand new AMG E53 4MATIC. So guys, first we need to talk about facelift changes. And to do that, we need to go back prior to the car before this in model year, and that was the W212, which started off life with the old style of 4 E-Class lights on the front. Do you guys remember that? Of course you do. So when this car got facelifted, it had a major facelift, probably the biggest that Mercedes have ever done on a car design-wise, and it got a whole new front fascia with one single light, still carrying across the idea of having 2 lights in each light unit, but it was singular units with the eyebrow graphic inside. And of course the front end changed massively on that particular car as well. After that car, we had the pre-facelift of this car, which again, it had a singular unit, but very strong 2 eyebrows inside of the car, again bringing across that E-Class design language, I think, in the fascia of the car. But this car got a lot of stick for being too similar to both C-Class and S-Class, particularly in the rear of the car. So now we turn to today's facelift, and it is very, very different. Let me show you again what the previous one looked like, and let's have a look at what this one looks like. You can see an absolutely massive change on this car, and let's go through every bit of it now. We have to first talk about the much, much sportier front end, even in this, the standard version, and then of course in the AMG E53. What has gone on here? Let's unpack it. First of all, of course, you've got a completely new light unit. It's much smaller, much more minimalist in its design. We've still got a Mercedes eyebrow inside of it, and you'll notice 2 little light dots inside. And yes, that's exactly what you're thinking. It links to the E-Classes of the past, showing you that 2 lights inside the single unit means E-Class. It's not as obvious, and I do wonder whether the future S-Class and C-Class will end up looking like this as well. We'll have to see. Then we've got, in the AMG line, what is called a double A-wing. So this lower part here with the vertical slats is one A, then this other body-colored part above it, another A-shaped. And again, it's AMG design language here. These vertical slats looking very aggressive indeed. The side air intakes, very similar to what we've seen in the past with the aeroflick here as well. Now, I was wrong in saying that these air intakes are fake because it's actually an aero feature. If we look behind the wheel, it pushes air through here into the wheel arch, so hands up, I was wrong about that aspect. Then we look at the bonnet of the car. You'll notice it's got power domes on it, just like in sportier coupes or in the E63. It's not the same shape as the E63, we've only got power dome structures on top, but again, making the front look so much more aggressive. But these aren't the parts you want to see. You really want to see the rear of this car, don't you? So let me show you the rear. Completely different, isn't it? Let me show you what the old one looked like and compared to this. And I think what this is hearkening back to, again, is that W212 squarer, longer light on an E-Class that all of us really loved, I think. And I love the fact that this now looks different, who knows for how long, versus S-Class and C-Class, but it looks very, very good. Now, let's also look at the inside of the lights. Previously, where you had stardust lights in the E-Class, this has now got light blocks in there. Of course, the entire design is different. I think it looks very, very nice. Now guys, if we talk about this E53, in the pre-facelift, it started off life as an E43 with a V6 engine like in the C43 at that time, which was a nice growly engine, but really design-wise didn't have much AMG about it at all, even having rear petrol diesel tips with a little slat down the middle, if you guys remember. Then the car was updated to the inline 6 and called the E53 with the EQ boost, and it got the round tips at the back. But as far as the actual design of the car, it didn't really look, especially in the sedan with its diamond grille, like the rest of the entry-level AMGs. It just looked like an E-Class on the road. That is not the case with this car, and I just want to make that very clear when I show you what the two look like compared to each other. It is such a big difference, and this E53 truly looks part of the AMG family now. We've got E53 specific parts on this car, which are of course the lower AMG diffuser, and within those, the typical entry-level AMG round pipes, which look really nice and big as well. If we come to the side and we talk about the E53 specifically, we've got a side skirt like the E63 had. This wasn't in the previous E53, again making the car look wider from the side and more aggressive. And of course, how can we forget about the main event, that front grille? It is of course the AMG specific grille, but for the first time in a unique treatment. This is not the same as what we've seen before. This is a smaller grille with a gloss black border around it, giving it a unique style for the first time for the 53 AMG series. The front of this car looks extremely aggressive and extremely AMG-like. To me, the overall look is of a much shorter car, and I think that's partly because of this flat area here, how this is also flat, how it kind of curves inward, and you've got a shark nose coming out here, and the grille kind of slants this way. So it really looks much smaller, and when you see it in person, I'm sure you guys will agree, looks much more C-Class size. I think the lights are giving us a slight illusion of that as well. Overall, it gives it a much more muscular and kind of wider look, even though the body is no wider compared to the pre-facelift. It's a very clever design done here by Mercedes and AMG. Now, design was one major focus in the facelift, as it usually is. But the other two focuses in the E-Class were of brand new engines and of intelligence. We'll get onto the last one at the end. For the engines, like the tech in the E53, there's usage of EQ Boost hybrid in many of the new engines for the new E-Class. So typically in the past, and in this new model where we have the E450 which is an inline 6 engine with the starter alternator and the electric motor, giving it extra hybrid boost. This time the E-Class has 2 more engine variants coming and a whole host more over the future as well. Apart from the typical 6-cylinder, we've also got an inline diesel engine with the starter alternator EQ boost, and that's going to have close to 280 brake horsepower, which is going to be a class leader in its segment. And then we've got a brand new debut engine in the facelift E-Class, which is an inline 4, almost up to 270 brake, and that debuts within this car, again, with that EQ boost. So a lot of focus on hybrid and EQ boost in the E-Class facelift. Now, specifically with the E53, not much has changed with regards to power. It's still the same power output as the pre-facelift, with the EQ boost providing 21 brake horsepower more. But the difference here is we've got an extra option that I'm going to tell every potential E53 customer to get, and that is AMG Dynamics package. And that gives you some very special things. First of all, you get red calipers with the AMG logos on the brakes, which is a big win in terms of design. But that's not important. You also get the full dynamic steering wheel. That's not important. You get the AMG steering wheel buttons, more important still, and you get race mode and drift mode for the first time in a 53 AMG. Yes, this E53 actually has the switchable rear-wheel drive drift mode, and I'm hoping this is going to add that extra flavor of AMG to the drive of this car when we eventually take this car out for a drive in the future. So guys, that summarizes the facelift changes on both the standard E-Class AMG line and this amazing looking brand new E53. Now let's head inside and see the intelligence side and what this E53 sounds like. So guys, facelift E-Class interior. Now, we talked about intelligence being one of the key parts of this facelift, and we're going to go into that more eventually when we drive the car and talk about all the driving assistance additions. Today I want to focus on the obvious, and the obvious is, first of all, I think, even before the steering wheel that we all love, is having MBUX, which is the top Mercedes operating system within this car. The E-Class lacked it so much, the GT63S still lacks it, the GT 4-door, but now finally in this E-facelift, we've got the full-on MBUX in its top version, like in the GLE, where you've got passenger detection on the front end here, you've got touchscreen in terms of the front screen here, we've got the brand new touchpad here, we've got, oh look, a brand new AMG steering wheel. This is called the Super Sport steering wheel from AMG. It's very concept car looking. I've tried to get along with the controls here. I can't get along with them. So we're gonna have to wait and see what it's like when we drive. It is of a similar idea as the previous one, but having 4 stalks here, it's a little bit confusing for my tiny little brain. So we'll have to see what happens. But in terms of the shape of it, it's still small diameter. In terms of the AMG steering wheel, you get these gorgeous, I guess, C-shaped paddle shifters in aluminium, which have great reach. They look fantastic, they feel fantastic. You've got a really thick part of the steering wheel here, which is thicker than any AMG steering wheel I think we've ever had. Feels really good, looks really good. We've got a unique AMG part in the middle here made of aluminium, and then you notice the AMG drive control units or the AMG steering wheel buttons. Look how gorgeous these look. Brand new graphics for these, same function as before, so you can choose your own shortcuts on the left-hand side and then switch drive modes with the right-hand side one as well. And in the middle, the biggest Mercedes star that we have ever had. Look at the size of that thing. Though I think this is the first Mercedes airbag where I wish this was leather like the S-Class has, because, I don't know, it just looks too plasticky to me, in this format anyway. One other really nice change I noticed, the rear view mirror here is frameless. It's just a piece of glass from the front anyway. That looks really nice. I really like these little touches. Of course, in terms of the displays, you get the brand new AMG Supersport display like in the GLE 63S, and you can change displays within the system itself to classic, sport, and of course the most popular one for AMG owners being the Supersport display. We're not going to focus too much today on the intelligence part. What's important that you understand, it's got the best Mercedes operating system that they've ever made, one of the best operating systems, period, in the world. Finally, the E-Class has it. We've got a brand new steering wheel. We've got more advanced driving assistance systems, particularly with regard to parking. And we're going to explore all of that in the future when we drive the car on proper roads, and then we can test all of these systems out and see how they've advanced compared to the previous versions. But today we're in the E53. So let's do an emotion start and see what this car sounds like. Nice little burbly start up there. So it sounds really good. And we've got the AMG performance exhaust system within this car as well. So important for AMG owners. And like in the UK, we couldn't have it before. I turned the sport exhaust on there and you can now hear how the exhaust note has changed. So major changes for the E-Class and the E53. For the E53 specifically, we have got so much more AMG DNA added in. I cannot wait to drive this on the road. Guys, if you have enjoyed this episode, please do like, subscribe, and share it amongst your petrolhead friends. And I will see you guys very soon.